with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf. Years ago, scientists constructed the belief engine, a machine that warps reality based on people's strongly held beliefs. It was turned on for testing, but proved too sensitive. Widespread belief in the depravity of man and fears of social collapse suddenly took on the full force of objective fact. Without resort to a shared reality, civilization crumbled like a sandcastle in the tide. From the ruins have arisen cults led by charismatic, messianic figures possessed of seemingly divine powers derived from the belief engine. You are one such a figure. The true one. The Messiah.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but that's the story of True Messiah, a game of Cold Warfare that's currently on Kickstarter. And tonight we're lucky enough to have on Craig, who is the creator mastermind behind this game on Kickstarter. Is that correct? Is that how you fit into line with True Messiah, Craig?
Yeah, I am in fact the mastermind. You could say I am the True Messiah of True Messiah.
Well, there you go. So before we get into the game, let's rewind a little bit if we could. And we don't have to go all the way back unless, of course, you were born into board games. But how did you get started into tabletop board games, Craig, if you don't mind us asking?
My parents were just pretty huge nerds, honestly. Like, I grew up playing the Dune board game, if that tells you anything.
Well, there you go. Cool. Per se, somebody hasn't heard of, I don't recall hearing of that game. What can you tell us about the Dune board game?
Oh, man. So have you played the Game of Thrones board game?
No, I've heard of it and seen it.
Okay, so Dune was basically that board game, but like decades beforehand, right? So like in Dune, it was very faithful to the novels actually. Like it represented, you had this board that represented Arrakis, and you had the different factions, like, House Atreides and House Harkonnen, and, you had the Bene Gesserit and the Guild and, Emperor Shaddam the Fourth, I think was his name, and House Carino. And they all had their own little faction advantages, and you would sort of, you would ship in troops from off-planet, and you would try to conquer different territories, and you would need to, not get caught in a sandstorm if you were venturing outside the shield wall, and combat occurred with, you would have a general, and you would wager a certain number of troops on a wheel, a lot like Scythe does, and you would also use a treachery card oftentimes, so you would try to poison or stab the enemy general before the battle took place, and then they would have a defense card they could play, and they would try to guess how you were going to try to assassinate their general. It was pretty wild.
Cool. So so that was from the get-go or whatnot. How has board gaming changed, or has it since that game, in your opinion?
Well, Dune was pretty ahead of its time, I think. A lot of the things that appeared in that board game are now appearing in contemporary board games again, Scythe or, the Game of Thrones board game. On the whole, though, I don't know, I feel like casual board games that take hours are on the outs. I feel like heavier and more interesting strategic fare is getting its due now in a way that it just didn't decades ago, and I think that's pretty cool.
For sure. So, besides the True Messiah, do you have a favorite board game currently? If I let you pick your own game, my audience might run me out into the street and have me hung.
No, I'm not going to pick my own game because that would be in poor taste. I really like Mystic Vale by AEG. I think it's a very clever deck builder and very enjoyable.
Cool. I love deck builders. So that's your favorite one. Let's see, how's that compare to, have you played other deck builders? The main ones I've played are like Star Realms and Cthulhu Realms and Hero Realms. Those are the main ones I've played in deck building.
I've played Dominion and Thunderstone, and it's probably like one more, but it's escaping me.
So Thunderstone, I want to say we just recently, I want to say Thunderstone Conquest or something. It was on Kickstarter. I think that's what we just got. It's like a huge box. I think it's the relaunch of it or something.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'll be totally honest with you. I wasn't the hugest fan of Thunderstone. I felt like it was rather restrictive and not as well designed as Dominion, which is a bad problem to have if you're coming on Dominion's heels, but that's just my opinion.
Well, there you go. Yeah, everybody's entitled to one. I know this is a family podcast, so I won't go as dirty as they do or whatnot, but my on the Tuesday night podcast, a show I've really come to love recently, they talk about an opinion is like a butthole or whatnot, but yeah, so take with that what you will or whatnot, but yeah, so you don't like that one as well. Yeah, I've never played Dominion. I kind of got into what do you call it, the whole gaming thing kind of backwards, I guess, not starting with the traditional games like they usually do. I think my wife and I started playing Parade, and she kind of got into the Kickstarters or whatnot, and then finally I fell, not this last Christmas holiday season, but the one before that, I sat down to play Blood Rage with my son. That he'll be 10 in September, and I sat down to play that with him after watching a Rodney Smith video, and he told me how to play it, so I didn't have to read the book or nothing, and it was like Christmas playing that game, so that's kind of when I fell in love with it.
Nice. I keep hearing about Blood Rage. I need to check it out at some point. Is that like a miniatures combat game?
Yes, sir. From what I remember, it's been quite some time, but yeah, it was like, yeah, I think you're like pirate ships and you're battling against each other. It was pretty fun.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. Cool. So do you like skirmishes like that, or just mainly stick to the deck builders and whatnot?
Oh, I love strategy and tactics games. That's actually my specialty. Back before I designed True Messiah, I actually released a strategy RPG video game on Steam, which you probably haven't heard of it, but it's called Telepath Tactics.
Cool. What can you tell us about it?
Oh, that was a really fun one to make. Telepath Tactics is a strategy RPG, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem, or or like Disgaea, games like that, where it's an RPG, right? You got your characters and you're going through a story and they level up and they get better and they learn new attacks and whatnot, but it's very board game like, right? You have these turn-based battles that take place on a grid, and you move your characters around, and they use different abilities. Very, very much descended from the war games of yore.
Oh, cool. That's not necessarily my forte, but my wife and our almost 10-year-old son, they really found a love for that Fire Emblems game. Like, I think they played on the DS as well as on the iPad application and whatnot. So you say it's similar to that, where you're like you go a turn-based role-playing game or something?
Yeah, similar to that in a lot of ways. I had a bunch of fun innovations in that, like, most of the environment was destructible. You could, like, chop down trees, blow up bridges. You could also build things, right? You could, like, build bridges over, like, water or chasms, and you could throw down barricades to block the enemy's advance, and the AI would come and, like, try to chop them down to get at you, and you could, like, shove enemies into water or off cliffs, and they'd, like, take drowning damage or become stunned. It was really fun.
That sounds pretty cool. Is that something that people can pick up today, or is it out of print, or how does that work with Steam?
Oh, yeah, no, they can pick it up today. It's just a digital download. You just go to Steam, enter in Telepath Tactics. It's there. It's like $15. You can pick it up right now if you want. Cool.
So if you leave a link for me, I'll make sure I put that in the show notes and whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
For sure. So how does somebody go from designing an RPG? Well, let's actually get to the elephant in the room. The word on the street is you have a new game on Kickstarter called True Messiah. What can you tell us about it, Craig?
That's right. So True Messiah is, unlike Telepath Tactics, True Messiah is a board game. It is a strategy board game and deck builder, kind of all rolled into one. I refer to it as a game of surreal religious horror, right? And you've heard the premise because we just played it. But yeah, the idea is like everyone is this deranged cult leader who, because of the effects of the belief engine, they've come to the conclusion that they must be the Messiah. And all these other people who are sort of challenging them for dominion over the howling wasteland that is now the Earth, well, those must be false prophets. And so it's a really interesting game. Obviously, I come from a tactics background, and that plays in a lot. The mechanics are largely deterministic. So combat, there are like flanking mechanics in combat, and the cards, right, the decks that you build, those give you tactics that you can sort of like throw in right before combat and do like surprise maneuvers, protect units, open up sort of ways of progressing around the battlefield. You can do like little surprise retreats or flanking maneuvers or whatnot. It's pretty neat.
Cool. That sounds awesome. So it sounds like there's quite a few mechanics. You got the deck building and then the tactics and whatnot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
It's getting geeky with Gamer Leaf. 1, 2, 3. Hey, head.
And what time is it?
It's interviewing time.
Well, we just did the interview, silly. Now it's time for what corner?
Interviewing time.
She's teasing me now. It's what?
Kickstarter interviewing.
Oh, she's just messing with you now, people. You fans. She said I was so excited when Bat Leaf said she wanted to come on the podcast and do Kickstarter Corner with me.
My name is Queener Leaf.
No, she's changed it to Queener Leaf. Well, you can't have it every way, huh? Can you?
It's a funny word.
What?
It's a funny word.
Okay, well, are you going to help me with Kickstarter Corner?
Mo?
Okay, well, let me get the games up and we'll talk about them, okay?
Okay, yo.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
Let's tell them about the game, shall we?
Oh.
Well, that was fun and exciting. Well, now on to real Kickstarter Corner. I was glad that Bat Leaf, I will call her Bat Leaf still. I'm glad she was able to join us. But now on with true Kickstarter Corner. I guess when you're that young, it's kind of hard to focus, but that's okay. So with Kickstarter Corner, there was a really awesome game that totally dropped today. You want to know what it is? I bet you do. It's called Rebels of Ravenport Upgraded. Assemble your guild, defy the Overlord, take back Ravenport. It's a competitive card drafting strategy game. How cool is that? For sure. I know I love competitive. This is none of that co-op stuff that sometimes I don't like. And it's also a strategy drafting card game. And you know what? It is only $25. This is awesome. It's a really shorter campaign, 16 days. And it goes through Friday the 13th of April 2018. Friday the 13th. Good thing that Princess Leaf isn't here, because the last time we had a game going through Friday the 13th, she said that was bad omens. But this is awesome. You get some really cool art in the box. And definitely check this one out. I really love, I love drafting games if you've been listening or anything like that. But this one, it is awesome. And yeah, definitely check out the video and the art. I love the art. And you know what? The cardboard stacker, he said, I like that you can build up the intermediate and advanced mode, which is my favorite way to play. So yeah, definitely check this one out. Like we usually do, we'll go ahead and leave all the show notes and the links. Hey, we'll leave all the links in the show notes is what I meant. They got a cool GIF about what Ferdinand, the cardboard stacker, just talked about, where it goes from intermediate to advanced mode. This one is amazing. Definitely check it out on the Kickstarters. And yeah, for sure. You know what? We're going to also have Mike from Secret Weapon Games on the Kickstarter with us next week. So if you want to find out more about this awesome game, which a couple of our friends over at We're Not Wizards, Richard Simpson from that podcast, he went ahead and backed it, as well as Dane Trimble from Everything Board Games. They're both backers of this great game. So yeah, if you want to hear from Mike and hear more about this game, I know I do, stay tuned for next week. Then don't forget about all the other great games, because there's a lot of them out there. We've also got Railroad Rivals. Railroad Rivals is a fast-played tile drafting game where you build a railroad empire that stretches across America and across your table. Definitely check this one out. And you know what? Next week as well, we will have the creator from Forbidden Games on as well. So definitely stay tuned for next week. It sounds like next week is going to be scrambled. No, not scrambled. Jam-packed with great interviews. You know what? We got another one as well. One of the creators, well, the creator of Freedom Squadron, a Savage World setting, is also coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Are you kidding me? No, we're not. But anyways, this is another great game. Well, I guess it's a setting or whatnot. But Freedom Squadron, a Savage World setting. It's Freedom Squadron is a high-octane love letter to 80s cartoon action heroes, featuring new rules and new options for Savage Worlds. If you've listened to any of my interviews, well, a couple of them here and there, I may have slipped up that I like 80s cartoons. Well, I do, and this is an homage to them. Definitely check it out. It funded in 6 hours, and they go through, the 10th of April. So definitely check that out. Did I tell you that Railroad Rivals goes through the 10th of April as well? So those both go through the 10th of April. Definitely check them out on the Kickstarters. What do we got next? Well, let's see here. We've also got The First Step on Callus. It's a new strategy board game that crosses Monopoly with medieval war. It's awesome. There are tons of board games out there, but few combine the gaming mechanics of Monopoly and cross that with an accent of medieval war. Introducing Callus. Callus, it goes way beyond traditional roll and move board games. Players 2 to 4 build networks as they choose cards, roll dice, and strategically direct the faction of powerful characters or soldiers throughout the detailed gaming board. But it doesn't stop there. No, it doesn't. Callus incorporates the use of dice cards. These unique cards can alter the results of every roll and influence outcomes on the fly. There are many ways to become victorious in the world of Callus, from winning battles to scoring points and occupying enemy territories. But rest assured, only one will be crowned king. Callus comes with a specialized modular gaming board that keeps games fresh, and each character comes with their own backstory and abilities to add to the excitement. This goes through Monday, the 16th of April. So definitely check that one out as well. What else do we got on the Kickstarter Corner? Well, if you listen Saturday, which I know we usually don't come out with a show on Saturday, but we had the creator of Operation Deep Freeze, a top secret NWO adventure, which is the first NWO adventure that has launched since the relaunching of this great RPG. It's a project in Latvia, was put on deep freeze when the soldiers pulled out. Time is now critical for Icon to secure it before it thaws. This one reminds me of one of my favorite 80s movies, Spies Like Us. And like I said, I had him on the show. And some of our friends, Dave Killingsworth with Solar Flare Games, went ahead and backed this, as well as Kevin Watson, who is in charge of Dark Naga Adventures. They both, so Dave Killingsworth from Solar Flare Games and Kevin Watson from Dark Naga Adventures have both, yes, that's right, both of them have backed Operation Deep Freeze, a top secret NWO adventure. So you might want to check this one out as well. Then we've also got Dead Throne. It's an open world board game with mechanical market. Dead Throne, an open world board game with never before seen components and mechanics. If you want to find out more about the mechanics, definitely check out the Kickstarter video. Scroll down the page and there's a GIF that goes through it, as well as some great things, as well as we interviewed the creator of this. It was awesome, and I really like this game. And they're way overfunded, and they go through the Saturday, the 14th of April. So definitely check that one out. The Entrepreneur Game by EE Speaks. It's a fun, educational, and interactive game everyone can play. Build businesses, grow your income, assets, all while avoiding bankruptcy. Not sure. Hopefully they'll make it, but they go through Saturday, the 14th of April. 17 days to go to get on this one, and it's no Monopoly neither. So yeah, definitely check out those games on Kickstarter, and I want to say in a couple weeks, I know I've been saying it's going to be real soon, but according to Alan Gerding, who runs one of my favorite podcasts, Tuesday Night Games, podcast about board games and the stories or whatnot, he is going to I'm going to be able to have a segment on his show. So definitely stay tuned for that in a couple weeks. Anyways, it's our least favorite time. Maybe this blasted headache that I've been yelling through. I've been yelling through a headache. Well, that's how important Getting Geeky with Game Relief is. The show must go on, as Richard Simpson from We're Not Wizards, one of my other favorite podcasts, says. But anyways, it's time for us to part ways. We got to get on with our lives. You got to get on with your lives. But in the meantime, or while we're separated, make sure you get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geek fold. And I guess we will catch each other on the flip side. Oh, did I say this interview that we just had? Well, it's going to be to be continued. So if you liked what you heard, or you want to hear more about this game, then make sure you pay attention, because we're going to have this interview split up into 3 sections. If you like how we're doing it on this one, let me know so we can look at doing that in the future. But if you don't, let me know as well. Anyways, Getting Geeky with Game Relief, signing off. Game Relief out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.